The interview schedule was packed, every minute accounted for, every answer expected to sound the same. The millionaire CEO sat at the head of the table, already tired of rehearsed confidence and polished stories. Then the door opened at the wrong time. A young black boy stepped inside, too small for the room, wearing a jacket that hung past his wrists. He clutched a folded paper tightly, as if letting go might make him disappear. Before anyone could ask him to leave, he spoke, voice steady but thin. "Sir, my daddy's sick." "Why didn't you stay home?" the CEO asked. The boy answered without hesitation. "Because my dad would never miss something important for me." No one spoke after that. CEO leaned back, the weight of the moment settling in. This interview was no longer about qualifications. It was about character, and without realizing it, everyone in the room understood that something unexpected had already begun. The CEO dismissed the rest of the panel with a quiet motion of his hand. No explanations, no objections. The door closed behind them, and the room changed instantly. The long table no longer felt intimidating. It felt human. He asked the boy to sit, not across from him, but in the chair beside him. The boy hesitated, then obeyed, placing the folded paper carefully on his lap like it was something fragile. The CEO did not rush. He asked the boy's name, his age, what grade he was in. The questions were simple, but the answers carried weight. The boy talked about school, about waking up early to make breakfast, about learning how to sort pills by color so his father wouldn't get confused. He spoke the way children do when they've had to grow up just a little too fast. Calm on the surface, alert underneath. The CEO asked what his father did when he felt well. The boy smiled for the first time. Talked about how his dad fixed things around the house, how he practiced interview answers out loud, how he promised that one day things would be easier. CEO listened closely, noticing how the boy never complained. Not once. He just explained. There was a pause. Then the CEO asked a question that surprised even himself. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The boy thought for a moment. "Someone who doesn't give up on people." That answer landed harder than any business pitch the CEO had heard in years. He turned his chair slightly, away from the table, and looked at the city through the window. He thought about missed dinners, ignored calls, moments he had told himself he would make up later. He realized how rarely courage looked like confidence. Sometimes it looked like a child walking into a room where he didn't belong. Without saying anything, the CEO picked up his phone and stepped aside. The boy watched quietly. The calls were short. A doctor. Someone from finance. Someone else the boy didn't recognize. When the CEO returned, his expression was different. Not softer, clearer. Told the boy his father's interview would be rescheduled. Help was already being arranged. That no one would be punished for being human. The boy nodded, unsure how to respond. He thanked the CEO, stood carefully, and asked if he could go now. School was starting soon. The boy left. The CEO remained standing, holding the resume. For the first time in a long time, he felt certain that this meeting, unplanned and imperfect, mattered more than any interview on his calendar. Following weeks passed quietly, but nothing stayed the same. The CEO kept the resume on his desk, not as a reminder of the position, but of the moment that reset his priorities. Updates came in through short messages. The doctor had started treatment. The stress that had weighed on the household began to lift. For the first time in months, the father could rest without fear of what tomorrow would cost. When the father finally returned to the office, he walked in slowly but proudly. He wore his best shirt, freshly pressed, and held himself straight despite the fatigue. CEO greeted him personally, not across a desk, but face to face. They spoke briefly about work, expectations, and the role. Then the CEO did something unexpected. He asked the father to bring his son in. The boy entered the room again, this time holding his father's hand. He looked around, remembering the space, but he stood taller now. The CEO knelt slightly to meet him at eye level and thanked him. Not for coming in before, for reminding him of something he had forgotten. That leadership is not about control. It is about care. The father was offered the position, with flexibility built in. Time for health. Time for family. The kind of structure that treated people as more than output. It wasn't presented as a favor. It was framed as trust. As they left, the boy turned back once and waved. The CEO returned the gesture, feeling something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Years later, long after contracts changed and numbers shifted, the CEO would still think of that day. A boy brave enough to speak when adults stayed silent. A sentence that cut through routine and reminded him why responsibility mattered. Not every interview changes a company. Some change a person. And sometimes, the most powerful voice in the room belongs to someone who walks in carrying love instead of a briefcase.